Hey everybody, I want to do a video on how to get 10% service connection for tinnitus. Well, the VA has a presumptive list of MOSs that qualify you for tinnitus, and pretty much to my knowledge that if you don't qualify, those MOSs don't qualify, you probably pretty much won't get service connected. But a lot of people fail in trying to get service connected through the MOS. If you were cook, admin, those type of MOSs, and you still do have tinnitus, and it's kind of hard to get service connected. So my opinion is you're probably gonna have to relate that to your days in boot camp. You were young, you're not used to the gunfire, and me being in the Marine Corps, you were on a firing line when you got in boot camp, probably about 100 people firing at the same time. You were so close to each other when a person would fire the M16 down around, the shells would come down on your blouse or get into your shirt and burn you and stuff like that. That's how close you were to each other. And back then really didn't have really decent hearing plugs that go into our ears back then. They would constantly fall out because they were cheap, whatever. So a lot of people, you have to connect that to your days in boot camp. And I assume in the Army is the same way, but I know in the Marine Corps every year you have to qualify on a rifle range to keep your certification, whether you're marksman or expert. And sometimes you can connect that, your tinnitus, to those incidents, to your boot camp days, and plus you have to qualify every single year. So to do that, you're gonna have to start going secure message your primary care physician and tell them you have tinnitus, which is ringing in the ears, and it's due to your days in boot camp. Just secure message your primary care physician that, and then they will send you to audiology at the VA hospital, and then you'll take a test, and then it's the same thing. I have ringing in the ears due to my days in boot camp, because they're going to start documenting that stuff, and then you tell them you have to constantly be qualified at the rifle range every year thereafter, and then more likely they'll give you a hearing aid. It's a distractive device, because I have one. It's kind of like different noises and stuff like that to kind of distract the ringing part. And then once you get that, then you can start going to, in my opinion, you go to the ER. Go to the ER at least 3 visits, because to me that forms a nexus. So you go to the VA ER and you go and you tell them I have tinnitus and it's due to my days in boot camp, and had to constantly be recertified every single year, whether you were in the Army, Marine Corps. I'm not sure about the Navy and the Air Force, but I'm sure they probably do anyway. And you tell them that, you go back again and again, and then you put in your claim for tinnitus due to your days in boot camp. Because if your MOS is not on that presumptive list, then you're pretty much not going to qualify for that. So once you do that, and then you'll get your notification from whatever CMP examiner that the VA has prescribed to you, whatever, and then you can build your case from that point on, and then probably get connected. I've heard of a couple people on YouTube. I don't remember their names right now, but where one gentleman said that he walked past a firing line. I assume he was in the Army, so I guess artillery, because I know I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for artillery 0811, and I know that's where the Army does that too. So see, he said that he had walked past a firing line that sent a round down range, and that's how he got tinnitus, and that's how he was able to service connect his tinnitus. I don't know what his MOS was, but he said just walking by a gun line and fired, that's how he got service connected. So wouldn't it make more sense to say, okay, well, you know what? When I was in boot camp, I've never been around gunfire at all. I'm young, I don't know nothing about that, and now I'm around hundreds of people firing rounds downrange at the same time. And like us, when we was in the Marine Corps, and we at Paris Island, when you did rifle range, worked at the rifle range, whatever, you had to pull down these targets. They call it dog targets, and somebody would fire down on the range, fire on the target, and you would pull it down, and you put a marker on it, and then you send it back up so they know how close they are to the target. And the wall wasn't that high, so I'm not all that tall, but the wall wasn't that high, but you still had to make sure you kind of kept yourself bent down enough, because you didn't want to look over the wall. If some people that were really tall, it was a difficult task for them. They always kept reminding themselves to do like this when they behind that wall, whatever, when somebody's shooting on a target. It was an incident. I don't know how long it was. Soon after I got to Paris Island, where there was a person who was in charge of his target, and somebody stopped firing on his target, and the person looked over the wall for some strange reason, and then the person sent a round down range and shot him in the head and killed him instantly. So with being in the pits, pulling down the targets, you're subjected to loud noises because we really didn't wear hearing protection in the pits. And then when you're on the target, firing down range, whatever, around hundreds of people, you have to relate your tinnitus back to that. And then you have to be qualified every single year. So if you get tinnitus in boot camp, and then it's constantly aggravated every single year because you have to be qualified on your service rifle or service weapon. That could be your service connection for tinnitus. But once you get 10% tinnitus, there's migraines, there's insomnia, and so other things related to tinnitus. And my knowledge that the VA is trying to do away with tinnitus within the next year or so. So if you want to do it, you better jump on it right now, because they want to do away with tinnitus because it relates to so many other different symptoms or illnesses after that. With me, I have a 0% hearing rating in my left ear. I had the hearing aid, and my MOS was presumptive MOS for tinnitus, so I really had to do too much other than that. But that's the way I think about it. So try to relate it to your days in boot camp, or you're qualifying for reference every single year, versus going for your MOS if it's not on presumptive lifts, like cook, admin, administrative duties, things like that. Most likely they probably won't qualify as being, will get you service connect. So think about that. Please consider liking, subscribe to the channel, and thank you, and catch you on the next one.